Hello, brave, beautiful warrior soul friends. I just wanted to come on here briefly and give you guys a few tips for reading with dissociation. So when you're reading, it requires use of both brain hemispheres. And so you have to be present with your parts to some extent in order to successfully read. And this was a huge battle for us. We were having the hardest time reading and hardest time retaining information. So a few tips to help you read. The normal life self is going to want to read. Normal life self is all about learning new information and curiosity and engaging in that adult manner. But the parts are going to have a harder time focusing. So we really have to have the normal life self nurture the parts in order to successfully read. And so the ways we can do that. Parts live in the body, and so any way we can engage the body in reading is going to help us. Here's a few examples that have worked for us. Reading while walking. You could be on a treadmill or walking up and down your street, even if it's like a short street or a short area and you have to pace, just walking back and forth. It's moving the body, it's engaging. So treadmill, walking in an area that's large-ish if you can. Any kind of walking would be helpful, especially if you can go real slow and establish presence, allow the parts to slowly walk and allow the mind to be present with the reading. So walking is one. The second example is sporadic stimulation. You can use this in a variety of ways. One example is physically. So what is sporadic stimulation? Sporadic stimulation is an original coping tool of the Kristin Chronicles creation within Healing Journey Homeschool. And you basically have different things you're doing around you. And every time you're engaging in one and parts show up and it's hard to focus or you get frustrated or triggered or you just feel yourself starting to sweat a little more, any kind of symptom of communication from parts, you switch tasks and you keep switching tasks. And this helps accommodate for all the switching in the brain beyond control. And once parts know that we're there for them, they start to work with us a little bit more. And so the sporadic stimulation can really help. And so sporadic stimulation, here's two examples of how to use it while reading. One is to have the sporadic stimulation be your physical posture. If you guys want me to send you a video of an example, I have a 45-minute example of this one. But you're sitting, you're reading, you notice yourself not being able to focus, you switch positions. And you can do yoga poses or different squats and just keep moving the body every time you notice that you can't focus anymore. And we usually have to switch positions about every sentence or so. And it might seem a little more work than it's worth, but I promise it's not. I promise it's a lot easier to keep moving the body instead of trying to keep focusing the brain. I guarantee it. The second example of using sporadic stimulation for reading would be you're sitting and you're reading and you have aromatherapy and tactile grounding tools. So it's stuff to do, but not full focus shift kind of a thing. And so you're there with your aromatherapy and your tactile and you're using those and kind of pausing to maybe stand up and stretch every time parts get active or something. Okay, so there's sporadic stimulation for reading. Walking for reading. The other example is engaging parts with the information. So if you have a written copy, this would be really helpful. If you don't have a written copy, you can write notes or something separately. But if you have a written copy, you can get a highlighter and highlight as you go anything that causes feelings, because the feelings are communication from parts. And when we highlight it, the act of engaging our body with the reading helps parts be present with the reading instead of just sitting there reading. When we sit there reading, parts kind of are somewhat aware of what we're doing and they might get activated because of it, but they don't get the information fully. And so if we highlight and we write notes and we spend time with the information, parts get to hear it too, not just the normal life self. So highlighting and taking notes, that's something we do. And yes, it makes reading take a lot longer. I get through, a paragraph instead of a chapter or a page instead of, whatever it might be, but I actually remember what I read. And I would rather read a paragraph and remember it than read a whole chapter and not remember it. So be patient with yourself, eye on the prize, one step at a time. When we get frustrated with ourselves, that's direct communication to parts. When we're frustrated and we're ugh, we may as well be screaming at them, why can't you do better? So we really need to really establish presence and patience with ourselves in the process, and know that the outcome is not the investment. Your goal is not to just read a book and cross it off your checklist. Your goal is to learn about a brand new therapy approach that provides insights into how the mind and body function, and provide tools into understanding your life experiences. That's a good goal, you know? So be focused on the goal, be present with the goal, be present with the process, be patient with the process. So let's see, we got walking while reading, we've got 2 different examples of sporadic stimulation while reading. We've got highlighting and taking notes and engaging the body in that manner. I think those were the main things I had wanted to share. So reading requires both left and right brain communication to some extent, and so it can be really tricky with parts, because when we live with structural dissociation, especially tertiary, DID, the full end of the spectrum, the left and right brain hemispheres are not naturally communicating, and so we really have to kind of help the process. So let me know if you guys have any questions. I want to be here for you. I can't magically jump through the screen and read the book for you, but I can be there to support you every step of the way as you explore Fisher's book and as we explore ways to empower the dissociative identity movement. So let me know what you guys think. Let me know how things are going with reading the book, or with, you know, thinking about movement stuff, or anything related to this little group. The main topics here are Fisher's book and the dissociative identity movement, and anything that's personally related to either of those 2. Okay. I guess that's it. I love you guys. I hope these coping tools can help. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you use them, I'd love to hear how it goes. If you don't use them, I'd love to hear why not. And if you are reading Fisher's book, let me know where you're at in the book. And if you haven't quite jumped on that yet, let me know what your next step is to get you towards that goal. Thanks so much for being a part of the dissociative identity movement. I'm so grateful to be here with you, brave, beautiful, warrior soul friends. I hope you have a beautiful and blessed day. Happy Friday!